A couple of weeks ago, I made the decision to spend a month in solitude in the Portuguese countryside for about a month to perform a kind of hard reset on my life. And in this video, mate, I want to talk to you about this hard reset and why doing something like this, performing this kind of hard reset, might actually just be the thing that you've been looking for to get unstuck, to cut unhealthy habits out, and to basically draw a line in the sand and to completely change your life. Before I do that, I'm Oliver Cowlishaw and I help men end the war inside their heads. I've been travelling all over Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam for most of this year, but recently I got back to my home city of Lisbon, Portugal, and when I did, there's something in me that wasn't right. It's like there was some circuit in me that wasn't connected properly. I got back, I started spending time with friends, I was in my old surroundings, but I started to feel lost and confused and like I didn't know where the next steps were. I didn't know where to go, which is strange for me because usually I'm pretty clear on these things, but I felt this lack of clarity. But even though that was the case, there was something in me, there was something inside me that was whispering to me, that was telling me to seek silence, to be alone, no matter what. But don't get me wrong, like the idea of being alone after having such an intense and exciting, I guess, year frightened me. The idea of just isolating myself, not seeing anyone, no distractions, no coping mechanisms, just being completely alone with my thoughts, it scared me. It really did, to be honest. But it's as I say on this channel, the thing that you're really searching for probably lies in the place where you're least willing to look. So with that in mind, I knew that I had to do it. So I got in my rental car and I drove 4 hours north to be in Serra da Estrela National Park. I arrive at my Airbnb and all I hear is nothing. Well, I hear the chirping of the birds. I hear the occasional dog barking. Honestly, I'm stunned by how deafening the silence was compared to my entire year. I'm also stunned by the beauty. I go to the backyard, there's a pool, and there's the mountains of Serra da Estrela that I can just look at, these huge mountains. But again, I was still nervous because I just arrived and there was no plans in the calendar, no social events. I'd also made the decision with myself to not use my usual coping mechanisms, to not binge video games, to not binge movies and TV series, and to basically be fully with myself. No alcohol, no nothing, just sobriety and focus and silence. Now, the first couple of days were okay, really. I just got into a bit of a routine, I suppose. But something started bubbling up from the depths of my mind, didn't it? Turns out there was something I was afraid of. Before even coming on this mini retreat, I was scared of something. Turns out that feeling that I was quite unfamiliar with, it's a feeling I used to have all the time, but I thought I dealt with anxiety, fear, free-floating anxiety without really a reason for it. I couldn't pinpoint exactly why I was feeling so anxious, but just this creeping sense in my body that something's wrong, bad's going to happen. If you've ever had anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. It's this feeling of impending doom. But one thing I couldn't work out is why it was coming up now. What was it? What was the nature of it? What exactly is there to be afraid of? At this point, I try to ignore it. I try using my usual coping mechanism where I just work. I just work and I focus on work just to avoid it. Now, this also was fairly effective for a bit until it wasn't. On the third day of this retreat, I had planned a journaling session, a personal growth journaling session on the topic of grief and loss. And as I start writing, the anxiety changes. It goes from being impending doom to becoming almost borderline panic. It becomes overwhelming to the point where I want to stop journaling altogether. I want to close my laptop and I want to just run and do something else and focus on something else or load up a video game or something. But this time I didn't do those things. This time I decided to sit with it. And instead of writing or intellectualizing that feeling, I decided to just sit and pay attention to it, the anxiety, just notice it and just feel it. But when I did that, the anxiety then turned into something that I don't usually like feeling, to be honest. I don't like it. And that's sadness. And next thing you know, tears are streaming down my cheeks. My shoulders are going. I feel like a boy again. Just crying, man. Having one of the biggest emotional releases I've had in years. I'm crying about my mum dying when I was younger. I'm crying about my first dog dying. I'm crying about relationships that were beautiful and amazing that are now nowhere to be found. I'm crying about all the things that have come and gone. And I'm just feeling this energy just pass through me, man. It's not an intellectual thing. It was purely just body based. In some strange way, man, it feels good. And as some time passes and my tears dry, the silence stops feeling so threatening. The sadness kind of dies down and fades. And then the anxiety dies down and fades. And what comes with it after that is a feeling of not just peace, I would say, but clarity. Suddenly, I start getting answers. Like the way forward in life after that starts revealing itself. The answers that I came to this sort of retreat to seek start making themselves known to me. And over the next sort of 24 hours, I start getting these like messages from my unconscious mind, really. Truths that I'd been avoiding. I'd realised I'd been neglecting my health, really, all year. I mean, I'd been training like for a Thai boxing fight, but my diet had been atrocious. So I hired a health coach, started taking care of my diet and sleeping better. I realised that self-doubt has been the bottleneck in my business. It's been the thing that's been preventing me from turning this business that you're now a part of into something truly remarkable that serves the world. So I started taking powerful action in the directions that I'd been afraid of before. Releasing a course, kicking off a community in a few weeks. I realised that I'm not a solitary person. I've been a solitary person all year, but I want to surround myself with people with shared values, man. I realised that. What did I do? So I joined an accountability group with 3 other men, fellow entrepreneurs, shared values, big ambitious goals. You see, the thing is, man, about all this change, it didn't just happen in years or months or even weeks, man. The kind of time frame you'd expect from a big change, it happened in the space of 48 hours with the right environment. And I believe, mate, that it's because I was able to grieve the things of the past that were holding me back. And I have a theory about that. I don't believe that our mind will allow us to be clear, fully clear, and excited even about the future, about a clear vision for our life, if there's still things in our mind from the past that we haven't emotionally processed and dealt with. And here's the thing, man. We will never be able to emotionally process those things if we're still stuck in the chaotic day-to-day grind, the usual 9-to-5 stuff. If we never have a break from any of that, we will never face it. We will never deal with the things holding us back. Now, I believe that every man should perform this kind of solitary, hard reset or hard reflection on his life every 6 to 12 months. And if you've got responsibilities and obligations like a family, etc., it may not need to be 30 days for you. But listen, like as I've told you in my example, the real breakthrough I had happened already. It happened within the first sort of 7 days. So even if you can't get away for a month, a weekend alone, 3 days, even one night, man. Just if you're feeling lost, confused, uncertain about your next steps, just like I was, then I invite you, mate, look at that calendar. Look at your calendar. It might be 6 months in the future. It might be a year. Who knows? But just look at your calendar. Book the Airbnb. Write a few things that you're going to do and focus on. Write the habits that you're going to quit. Commit to it, mate, honestly. And I am 98% certain that you will have the breakthrough that you've been looking for. Thank you for watching, mate. Take care. And I'll see you next time. Peace.